Good morning, everyone. I welcome you to the second day of virtual orientation ceremony program of academic session 2021 for students organized by Jharkhand Lake City University School of Law. It is an honor to welcome a towering personality of legal profession in this program. He is someone who has inspired many to choose this challenging and exciting profession of litigation and made a special place for himself in the legal fraternity and corridors of politics. One of the highlights of his achievements is his contribution to the society. With several initiatives, he has proven that a successful professional can always find time to help people and society, which should be the motto of every young budding law attending this profession. In fact, we take pride that you belong to our very own Madhya Pradesh state. Please join me in welcoming Honorable Member of Rajya Sabha and Senior Advocate of Supreme Court of India, Shri Vivek Tankha sir. I must tell our students that he was one of the youngest advocate generals of Madhya Pradesh and was also appointed as Additional Solicitor General of India. Sir, it is an honor to have you in this virtual orientation program, which will mark the beginning of academic session 2021. I fondly recall your visit at the university campus in 2016 when you delivered an Igniting Mind series lecture. On behalf of the university, I am grateful to you for accepting our invitation and being with us today. Today, Shri Tankha sir will talk about virtual lawyering. You deserve compliments, sir, for choosing a topic which is the need of the hour. I must inform you, sir, that the university ensured uninterrupted learning of students with committed efforts and new initiatives. The students played a very big role in accepting this transition and taking it as an opportunity to excel themselves. Now I give the session to you, sir. Over to you, please.
Professor Srivastav, honorable members of the faculty, and my dear students, I'm happy to be amongst you on a day when you're starting your academic session, or maybe you started yesterday, I think. You've chosen a topic which I would say is most topical today. I don't think in the month of March, I could have thought that there would be so much of change in the profession of law. Of course, COVID has changed not just this profession, but it has changed the thinking globally. And that is why today they say, henceforth, when you look back or look forward, the new nomenclature is going to be before COVID and after COVID, ACBC. Like you had before Christ and after Christ. Now it's going to be before COVID and after COVID. The pandemic has changed our thought process. The pandemic has changed our style of living. The pandemic has affected our professions, our vocations, our jobs, our industry. It also witnessed the largest migration of people after partition. Lakhs and crores of people left homes, left jobs to return to their villages, to their towns, in the hope of security and food. Somewhere, governments also could not foresee or match up to what the people feared. I have never seen in India so helpless before. I never wish to see India in this form again. We are a country of 135 crore people. I don't know how many lawyers we have in this country, but Madhya Pradesh would have less than 1 lakh lawyers. We have courts right up to Tehsil level. I have never seen a shutdown of judiciary as happened during COVID. In one of my webinars where I was addressing with a panel of Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, I said during emergency, fundamental rights were formally suspended by the Constitution. Constitutionally, this was not an emergency. There was no formal suspension of fundamental rights. But the net effect was our access to justice had come to a halt. If we were told to remain inside the house, we remained there. If we were told not to enter the street or travel on a road, even if not necessary, we couldn't do it. We could not even complain if the neighboring shops were not open. We could not even complain if we were stopped by the executive to do things which affected our livelihood. And there was no grievance redressal mechanism. There was no way that you could go to a court and ask for commencement. I remember Captain Amrinder Singh telling the Prime Minister in a meeting which the Chief Ministers had with the Prime Minister. He said, Mr. Prime Minister, I wish you had consulted us before bringing the lockdown in the entire country on 24th of March. He says, for instance, I have a city called Ludhiana, which has 2,200 industries. I know in Ludhiana what should be the containment zones, what should not be the containment zones. By shutting the country, we shut the 2,200 industries of Ludhiana. We crippled our lives and crippled our economy together. History will judge us whether this was a good decision or a faulty decision. Because there are more COVID positives in this country post-lockdown than during lockdown. We locked the country when we had 500 people affected. And we are working when it's reaching 10 lakhs. But there was no judicial mechanism which could have redressed this. We could not have gone to the courts. We could not have had a debate, because pandemic is such a thing where you cannot debate. Even courts are scared of being affected or impacted. Judges would come with masks. Nobody wanted to sit next to anybody. We don't visit homes because nobody wants us to come or meet. So the world of COVID has changed India. The world of COVID has changed the world globally. And in this context, I would now like to say that how it impacts you. Your studies are going to be different. I believe there would be a lot of online content now. The classroom, which was the normal mode of studying, will now possibly have an online content. It's happening world over. Examinations may become online gradually if there's no vaccine to control COVID. because sometimes numbers are such huge that you can't have a big exam. I don't know how IITs and the JEE and the common entrance test for medical examinations, how are they going to take place? We don't know. The answer still has to come. Right now, on the orders of the court and the government, everything is being postponed. Decisions are not forthcoming because nobody knows how we will be placed in September. Nobody knows what's going to happen in October. So the world of COVID has changed, impacted everybody in every way. You go to study, in 5 years you will pass out as lawyers. But the world of law has also changed. After middle of March, none of us has gone to a court. I have not been to any high court. All our practice is from our homes. We have video conferencing, and we look at our judges through this contraption and speak. I know it's not a complete answer for advocacy. One, because nobody takes up long matters. There can't be detailed discussions. It's a short-term arrangement. It has its own shortcomings. You are controlled not by what the judge or you want to do next at times. Like yesterday, I was appearing in a matter in which the Solicitor General was appearing for the petitioner. I was on caveat for a respondent. The Solicitor General was arguing. Judges were not satisfied. They were putting questions to him. So he sought time. Suddenly he sought time and he said, sir, keep it day after tomorrow. And then I wanted to say something to the court. But before I could say anything, the link snapped, because the control room of Supreme Court decides when to start and when to snap. When it snapped, I thought it's for day's proceedings are over, so I went off. I also disconnected. But my juniors tell me that they realized a few minutes later that I was wanting to speak. So they reconnected me, but I was not there. So this is how COVID works today. Technology has its own limitations. And we don't have the best technology to guide us today. Your internet is weak. Your broadband doesn't have the same access. The technology that we are using has its own limitations. And more than that, the older generation, I mean, I'm also not the oldest, but somewhere in between. The older generation has not learned this technology. They are not comfortable with this technology. It's people like you, young people, or the young people in the profession who are very adept at it. You even study by using technology. We never studied using technology. Our complete study was based on books, hard material. Even today, 80% of our lawyers in Mufasils, in tier 2, tier 3 cities, even in big cities, I'm talking of the older ones, they still want to read a book. They don't want to read their judgments on laptops. Even I, for instance, I don't say I'm tech savvy, but at least I'm accustomed to technology because there are people helping me to set up all this. But even for me, I'm more comfortable reading things which are placed before me in hard form. Though I'm learning in this COVID time, I've learned to read it on my internet, on my computer, on the laptop, because now it's by force. I mean, you don't have a lot of time. You don't have the option. So as I said, we are learning. We are learning to live. We are learning to work ourselves. And the whole problem is that how long this is going to continue, till when this arrangement will have to be continued. Nobody knows. It may be 1 year, it may be 2 years, it may be 5 years, or maybe in 6 months. We should be again back to courts. None of the big cases are being heard because they are lengthy arguments, and the judges tell us we'll keep it later when there are better times, but nobody tells us when the better times are going to start. Nobody knows also. How can they tell us? So I think these are very challenging times in which you are entering this profession, or you are entering this profession of law. And for all professions, as a matter of fact, industry has to also rethink on how it's going to work. I know I went to a dentist once. I mean, I had some tooth problem. Now, the dentist is today, when he meets you, I mean, first of all, because he's going to work on your mouth. You have to open your mouth and he works inside. He's so careful that you are sanitized from before you enter his clinic. He's wearing a full kit, PPE kit. He never touches you. He has instruments which touch you. So this, I mean, 3 months back, I couldn't have imagined a dentist clinic working like this, because they are scared that they may get impacted or affected by a patient who may have corona symptoms. Even you must be scared, I'm sure. But careful, if not scared, at least careful about not getting impacted or affected. So, as I said, virtual courts has become a reality. So, virtual lawyering is also a reality. Even post-corona, I feel the virtual court will continue to some extent, at least. There will be some courts in every court which will be virtual courts. It has its advantages also. Now, today, I don't have to travel to Jabalpur. I don't have to travel to Lucknow. I don't have to travel to Jaipur. I don't have to travel to, I'm talking of outside, forget it, within Delhi. I don't have to travel to those courts today to argue a case. I'm doing it from my office. So comfortable. Why should I travel? And why not? So every court, I'm sure, post-COVID will have some courts which will be virtual courts, which enables people from anywhere in India or anywhere in the world to get connected. So this in a sense is going to be a boon for the community of lawyers who didn't have access to high courts because of distance or Supreme Court. Now today a Jabalpur lawyer or a Bhopal lawyer or a Ranchi lawyer or a Jodhpur lawyer can also argue his case in Supreme Court. All he has to get is to get linked up. So this demand, the earlier demand for benches will not be there, because benches was because you didn't have a court in your area. Now there is the access to court is from every area. Why do you need a bench? And the courtroom, which was earlier a campus, is no more a campus, just a campus. The judge may be sitting there, but the lawyer would be addressing him from any part of the world. Haven't you seen Mr. Harish Salve appearing more often after COVID, which he couldn't before COVID, because he had to come from London to appear in a matter in the Supreme Court or a High Court. Now he argues from London. So as I said, this whole concept of lawyering is changing. In a sense, you people are lucky. You will have access to courts sitting in Bhopal. And one of the new things which must come, and which I am advocating, and many people like me are doing so also, we must have a live streaming of court proceedings. If Parliament can be live, if so many other institutions can be seen live, why can an apostle of justice, the temple of justice, where arguments are put forth in favor or against the clients, why can't that place also be live televised, live streaming of proceedings. I always say sunlight is the best disinfectant. The more you expose your proceedings to public display, the more careful a judge is going to be about what he says and what he writes. It's a human nature. And I'm sure this cannot be restricted for too long. As it is, COVID has brought in a restriction on public audience. I mean, today only the lawyers are there connected to court. It's not general public, which was the norm otherwise. I mean, at least some people could sit in the court. Now that can't happen. So they have to have online streaming now gradually of all courts proceedings, so that even as law students, when there are interesting matters, it should be part of your curriculum. Some court proceedings, important cases which are going to be live streamed in future, should become a part of your curriculum. It's a learning process. I still remember those 3 days. I think 18th, 19th, 17th, 18th, 19th, or 2 days, 18th and 19th and 18th, 19th of March. When the Madhya Pradesh Assembly was, the Madhya Pradesh government was had to resign, and we challenged those proceedings. The BJP went into Supreme Court asking for a floor test, and we were saying the supremacy of Speaker is complete during COVID times, and if he's adjourned the proceedings for 26th of March, the Supreme Court should not step in. I'm not on the merits of the case. I may agree or disagree with the judgment, but the quality of arguments that took place in those 2 days or 3 days was extraordinary. Both sides. I wish all of you had heard those arguments. The flourish, the knowledge, the depth, and then topical, something which was happening. They discussed law, they discussed constitution, they discussed pandemic, they discussed powers of parliament, powers of speaker, limitations of court. Everything was discussed. And the best part of this country is that we have a constitution, we have a mechanism. And at the end of the day, we all go to that mechanism. We plead our matters. One party wins, one loses. It's fine. That will always happen. But we all accept the decision and go forward. Now, this is what you call democracy. And in any democracy, there have to be agents, institutions. There will have to be bodies. At the end of the day, you need to respect. Of course, there are a lot of question marks about the autonomy of so many bodies and their working. But that again is part of democracy. When you see governments, what I have noticed in my experiences, when governments become strong, the judiciary becomes weak. When governments are weak, the judiciary is strong. This is a pattern which you will see over 30, 50 years. When governments become weak, you'll have strong judgments coming from judiciary. When the government is strong, the judiciary is subdued. But again, as I said, this is how the world works. I'm not complaining. It doesn't matter which party is in power, which party is not in power. I mean, it's a cycle. Someday some party is in power, another day another party is in power. But this is what is the essence of democracy. So you have entered into very exciting times. You're going to see a lot of change, a lot of evolution in the very concept of law and its presentation. You're going to see change in the manner in which courts work. You're going to see change in the manner in which you study. We used to have huge libraries in our homes. I still have. I have rooms, many rooms full of books in Jabalpur, in Delhi. I mean, there's no space even to keep books. I mean, after many rooms are filled up with books. Even this room is full of books. My offices are full of books. My Jabalpur office, which is my old office, has many rooms where racks are only carrying books. But you people don't open any book. You see everything through, you read everything through your internet and laptop, using your laptop. So that is how you are changing the world. The whole concept of lawyering is changing. I remember as a young lawyer, I used to first go and open a digest to see in how many matters this point of law has been followed or not followed. Then I'll make a note of all those cases, 5 cases, 10 cases of last 50 years. And then I would have old books from my father's times. I mean, we have books from 1800 or something in my Jabalpur office. And then I will have a CD to get up on that CD. This is 12 o'clock at night. And then I will take out those books from the top rack. I'm talking of 80s. Brush them, bring the books down and read them. And then I would know which case is for me, is with for my case, and which is against my case. No, you don't have to do that. You get it on the click of a button. I mean, the kind of work we had to do, which was physical and mental and physical both, was far more. The kind of work you have to do is different. Everything is laid out for you. There are programs, there are softwares which help you. We didn't have all that. I used to I was studying law in Delhi University from 76 to 79. And to go home, I had to book a train ticket. That used to be a full day job. So on a Saturday, I would travel from Delhi University to Nizamuddin station to book my ticket. So I would go by Mudrika. There's a bus which takes around of Delhi. Reach Nizamuddin station, where also I had to reach the station. I had to walk, stand in the queue, get my ticket, which is of 2 months later, and then go back to my hostel in the campus. And it used to be a half-a-day job. Today, you get a train ticket or an air ticket on the click of a button. So world has changed, and it will keep changing. But COVID has changed the nature of the entire thing. COVID has now again brought a new evolution in the concept of practice, in the concept of lawyering, and you will be taught and you will be acclimatized the way it's evolving. And I'm so happy that you have people like Professor Srivastava and your illustrious faculty, which is about one of the best faculties that I've seen, and the kind of interest they take on the students. Your university, your campus is one of the best that I've ever seen. I've been there once in 2016, I think, and I saw the campus at that time. It's wonderful, so well planned. You're so well equipped, so well looked after. I congratulate the staff and Professor Srivastava for maintaining such a wonderful campus. And I'm sure, let the COVID times be over, we will have opportunities to meet again. We'll have opportunities to do things together. There are lots of things which we can do together to take this struggle, to take this whole gamut of law forward. You need to learn more. You need to absorb more. You to become an accomplished lawyer, keep studying. Also be watchful. Being watchful is equally important. And at the end, I would like to say that when you go to court, and these COVID times we don't go to court, but when we used to go to court, the court not only saw us as a lawyer, they were also watching our personal appearance. What is the kind of specs I wear? How do I keep my hair combed? What is the quality of my band? What is the quality of my jacket? How I walk in? How I Your entire deportment was also being watched. So a lawyering is not just arguments. Lawyering was also your complete deportment. The public also watches you when you step out of your faculty, when you step out of your office. How you behave in public, how you speak in public, what are your thoughts, how productive are your thoughts. You're a positive man or a negative person. So you have a lot to learn to become successful, and you have a lot to imbibe to become successful. I'm sure that with the kind of teaching that you get in your faculty and through your faculty, you're going to be very accomplished people, whether in law or in corporate work. I wish you all the best at the start of your academic curriculum.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of students, I want to ask 2-3 questions, if you allow me.
Sure, please.
First question is directly linked with the students. What do you suggest to young budding lawyers to take precaution in initial days of lawyering?
Very, like when I started, the best that I was looking for was to get into a good office. An office which is going to encourage you to work hard, an office which gives you good exposure. At the end of the day, nobody can help you more than that. A lawyer becomes a good lawyer because of his own hard work and his own success story. But to get to that success story, you need a lot of foundation, and that foundation has to be good. So look for a place where you go to get good mentorship to work.
Next question is, law school students, including law universities or prestigious law schools which we have in the private sector, the students are little hesitant to join district courts. What you will suggest to students in this regard? Because at district level, at tehsil level, even good quality lawyers are required, but they are thinking they will start their career from Supreme Court, and if they are interested to join litigation. So if you will share some thought on this, if you will share something related to this, definitely they will be motivated.
You know, every child who came from a good law school would want to practice in Supreme Court. This was our experience in Delhi. He thought district court is out of question. Even high court is somewhat below his dignity. Actually, that was a student's perspective. When he came to us, I would tell him that law doesn't start here. Law starts from the bottom. It's the district court where you have to learn your basics. It's the high court where you learn the writ jurisdiction. You have to go there and practice before you come to Supreme Court 10 years, 20 years later, whenever you want to, if you wish to come. But for these children, things have become very easy. Now, after COVID, the concept of lawyering is changing. Today, you can practice law from Bhopal. You can practice. You don't have to go to Jabalpur to argue a case. You don't have to go to Supreme Court to argue a case. You go to practice from Bhopal. You go to practice from whichever small town, Sihor. You can practice from Neemuch, Jhabua, and yet be appearing in all matters in whichever court you wish to appear. And the filing is online now. The arguments are virtual through a virtual court. Virtual court has no boundaries. So, frankly speaking, why should you travel to Delhi, live in a congested accommodation or some distant accommodation, take 2 hours to reach your senior's office? There's not much that I mean, I have seen my people who joined me. They worked with me for 2 years and 3 years, and then they realized the best place for them is to go back to their hometowns and practice. And they're all doing well now. I'm not taking names, but so many of your students from Bhopal are practicing in Jabalpur, Indore, Gwalior, and other places. A lot of them went to high courts, but now after COVID, I'm sure a lot of them would also practice from Bhopal. and other places, because you don't need to go to Jabalpur to live, to buy a house or rent a house, set up a full accommodation, when you can do the same thing sitting in your home place. So post-COVID, the concept of lawyering is changing, and I'm sure as you grow, you will adapt all this, and you'll find that technology is helping you to reach out the way it never had.
Sir, in addition to that, my next question is, virtual courts are now reality, there is no doubt. But simultaneously, we have seen a debate is going on. The virtual lawyering affects the lawyers at large. They are struggling to get cases. So, what's your opinion on this?
Sorry, I couldn't get your question.
Sir, virtual lawyering is giving only the cases to the eminent lawyers, and courts are very much comfortable, and they have all facilities. And in looking this, they are the young budding lawyers who recently entered. They don't have such facilities. Even at the district level, district courts are lacking that good infrastructure or IT infrastructure. That's why there is no court is as such. I'm not talking about Supreme Court or various high courts, they have very good IT infrastructure. But now, more or less in various states, district courts are not functioning. That's why the lawyers are struggling to earn anything. So,
I agree with you, Professor Srivastava, that the infrastructure doesn't match to what we are wanting to do, and all this will take time. I remember many years back when Sam Pitroda came with a white paper on courts of tomorrow, where I'm talking of 2012, when I went and met the Chief Justice of Madhya Pradesh. With him, we met the High Court judges of Delhi High Court, and he was telling them how we can modernize our court arrangements, which would make practice of law easy and more effective. You join hospitals with district courts, you join police stations with district courts, you join jails with district courts. So, for every formal little appearance, you don't require the prisoner to be brought to court. I mean, there are a lot of times when there are no important proceedings. He just has to come, record his presence, and go back. Those can be sent, because every time he comes out of jail, 12 people have to come with him, 12 policemen in two gaadis. Now, all that is not necessary. So we did come out with a paper, and gradually that is becoming the norm. All that is changing. But as I said, you're right. The things today, virtual lawyering will not be a concept as a 100% concept. Post-COVID, I hope COVID ends early, or it becomes at least manageable early. We will go to court, because the real arguments are going to take place in court. There is no substitute for those court arguments today in that sense. And and it's only a limited number of cases which are getting listed before these courts, and in district courts even that is far less, because the infrastructure is very weak. So all that needs to be strengthened. It is a challenge which the governments will have to undertake and meet, and I'm sure with evolving times, all these issues will get answered. But as I said, if we want an answer today, I would not have an answer.
So I want to add one thing in this, because everyone is talking about modernization of courts, either Supreme Court or High Court or District Court. You as an integral, very important part of bar. What initiatives we are taking to strengthen our lawyers ready to appear for this virtual lawyering, before the virtual courts? So what initiative the bar is taking in this regard? This is my question. Because students are asking, they have some doubts to what we are doing in the interest of lawyers.
Right now, since the pandemic began in the month of March in India, I mean, it took over India from the month of March, end of March. The bar are fighting a battle of existence. Majority of lawyers, I mean, in fact, before the program began, I was going to tweet to the chief ministers of some states, including Chhattisgarh, that your bar and your lawyers, and especially the Tehsil lawyers, are in very bad condition. Today, Times of India, Raipur edition, carries a lawyer's photograph that he's, instead of practicing, he's weaving baskets. So I'm putting that picture on my Twitter account and telling the Chief Minister that I have more, I have more expectations from you, that you have to fund lawyers, you have to create funds for lawyers, young lawyers. You know, we have to start, the state support for lawyering has to start. I'll put it this way. Like the state supports so many other sectors, this sector of dispensation of justice, where lawyering is a very big part. I mean, without lawyering, there can be no system of dispensation of justice. I mean, judges are there, but if there are no lawyers, what will the judges do? So, to strengthen this profession, to strengthen, and especially the junior bar, we need to have a support system, and that support system is something for which I have been talking a lot.
Thank you for that. I am suggesting you, sir, you write a letter to PM Modi as well as to the various chief ministers of states. So they will allocate some funds exclusively for this purpose. Immediately they will release to lawyers. Because we have to say either it's the Congress government or it's the BJP government. I am 100% sure if you will write to the Honorable Prime Minister or Chief Ministers, so definitely they will take cognizance of that. So my request is, this is again my question is this: we are talking about live streaming of cases, important cases, or live streaming of day-to-day hearing. When we will see it will start, even at Supreme Court level or in the High Court, at the High Court level, we will see the live streaming of cases. When we will start this?
Professor Srivastava, the resistance was from courts. Basically, the judges were resisting live streaming, and we are telling the judges, don't resist. This is the order of the day. As I said, sunlight is the best disinfectant, and why should we? It's a public institution. When you sit as a judge, your utterances should be known to all. Why should? What is there to hide? There's nothing to hide. If Parliament can be seen by the world, I mean, even the fights that we have in Parliament, I mean, even that shouting brigades and entering the aisle and the well, all that is seen by people all over the world. We have a Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha TV giving you live streaming of Parliament proceedings. So why can't it happen in courts? It should happen in courts, and I think it's a matter of time. In any case, I'm going to put this up in Parliament this time, and I'm going to say it in Parliament that live streaming of courts has to start. Virtual lawyering has to be properly managed, give more funds for infrastructure. I'm going to also put a question that lawyers, especially young lawyers, and state support to this profession is also a mandate which the state must accept.
So you suggested in your interaction with the students that live streaming should be the part of curriculum. It is well taken. Definitely, we will immediately incorporate this and as a part of a curriculum in our JLU School of Law. What else you are seeing? There is a lack in our existing syllabus where you want to put focus or you want to suggest something to us as a JLU School of Law or other legal educational institutions of the countries.
I am very happy that you asked me this question. The difference of approach, which I find in between Indian way of teaching and what I have noticed in Europe and America, is our way of teaching is more of memorizing. You are supposed to rattle your chapters and reproduce them in the best possible way. While world over now, they are looking at your intellect and on your capacity to present that in the best way that you can. They are looking at you as an individual and your innate capacity to do these presentations. So today, I think practical training of law, not in terms of remembering it by heart, but putting it to students to practice as young people with innovative mind, is the training that you must give. maybe more classes of debates or legal or some sort of moot court proceedings. It should become a part of your curriculum, more bigger part of your curriculum, that you teach them to speak on these subjects rather than just learn the subjects. I'll put it this way.
So on this point, I want to update you. JD School of Law is a part of prestigious European Commission Erasmus Plus project, and we are implementing the European standards in our existing syllabus. And basically, they are more focusing on competencies, and we are putting or incorporating the incompetencies wherever there is a lack. Then our syllabus will be at par with the European standards, and it will be as it is accepted by 27 European countries. So in this regard, we are working very hard. So my last question to you, it is not directly leaving the academics. I think we are seeing recently lacking defection law. Even though the strong defection law we have, but there is a shifting of MLAs in some states, definitely affecting the strong democratic setup which we have in our country. And it is against the constitutional mandate and the spirit and the mandate which the people there have given to one party. And ultimately, we are challenging as a party to this defection law. What is your opinion about the same as an academician, as a lawyer?
No, shifting off who? Shifting off?
So shifting because we are just seeing the lacunas in the defection law, because so for example MLAs are resigning from one party and the other. So it means they are targeting defection law and challenging the defection law. It is against the constitutional mandate.
Actually, it's opened up a very big debate in the country. What has happened in these last few years, where democracy seems to be at crossroads. You know, you get elected on a ticket of a particular party. I can imagine a conscious disagreement which overflows into a debate, public debate, and then you have parting of ways. That can happen, Professor Srivastava, because in a democracy, I can have a disagreement with my leaders. I can have disagreement with the system. And after a certain point, I will say, sir, enough is enough. I can't be part of your system. I wish to go. But that's an honest disagreement. And you say, TK, because I've come on your party ticket, as per defection law, I must resign and go away. And then you're at liberty to come back the way you want. But that is not what is happening. There's no disagreement. Today, MLAs are getting bought. Suddenly it happens one day. I mean, if there was a disagreement, there was a debate, there was, you know, they were fighting for a right. It's understandable. But you can't overnight, suddenly one morning I am told that 20 people have gone away. So that is where this money, muscle, all this power and all this comes in, which is very bad for democracy. In fact, it's leaving a very bad taste. We are not even, today, I remember when we were young, we used to have photographs of our chief ministers or prime ministers or whoever of our top leaders in our schools and colleges, because you revered them. And reverence came from your heart. They were such big people who had sacrificed for the country. Now, today that doesn't happen. Do you put those photographs? Per force, you have to put photographs in certain places. That is not I'm talking about. But I said on your own, because if you put Mahatma Gandhi's picture, he never asked you to put his picture. You're putting his picture even after 50 years or 60 years of his death. Or Subhash Chandra Bose. Or Pandit Nehru. I mean, I'm not taking name, but there are hundreds of people, who have sacrificed for the country. Now that used to be the level of an icon in public life. My fight is this, that why have we jeopardized the concept of service, which was so important to politics? People came into politics to serve. They didn't come to earn. Today it's the other way around. My fight is this with the system, and I'm very vocal about it. I'm the only MP who's fighting on these norms, for these norms. So I'm very clear. I'm in politics only till I can serve my people. The day I feel that I can't serve or I'm incapable of serving, I should not be in politics. I should be in my profession doing my cases.
Sir, at last, any message for our students, JV School of Law exclusively?
I would tell students that people who you have dreams, you all have dreams. Try to achieve your dreams. Nothing is impossible in this world. If you want to become a big lawyer, work towards it. If you want to join politics as a lawyer, work towards it. If you want to be a professor, work towards it. If you want to be an activist, there are lawyers who are becoming activists and the whistleblowers also. Do that. I mean, today Prashant Bhushan has made a name not as an activist, a lawyer. So you have various forms of way of excelling, but do whatever your mind tells you, your heart tells you, and do it with full vigor and with full strength. Don't get scared. Nobody can. You are in a profession which is the most powerful profession of the world. Nobody writes your CR. You are writing your own CR. It's your performance which is going to determine your CR. So you will decide what you want to become, how much you want to rise, how will you rise. This is all your determination. And if you are determined to rise, nobody can stop you. So my best wishes to you is fulfill your dreams, fulfill the dreams of your parents, fulfill the dreams of your teachers, be very good students, and make the university where you are studying proud of your presence. Thank you.
Sir, on behalf of Jawaharlal City University, I express my gratitude to you for giving your precious time to ignite the minds of young budding lawyers. I'm sure your words of wisdom will inspire the students to be forward and result-oriented in life. You are a true role model for students of Madhya Pradesh as well as the people like us. With these words, I thank you and wish you for your good health and safety. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Sir, you exit, sir.